Hey Joe fans, JoeFan82 here. Today I'm looking at the FSS 5.0 G.I. Jane figure from the G.I. Joe Collectors Club. This figure was released this year in 2017 and has had one previous version from 2006. Let's go ahead and take a closer look at the packaging. On the top it says GIJoeClub.com exclusive, and it has the same retro G.I. Joe A Real American Hero logo. On the left is some artwork that does remind me of Diane Sawyer. If you've ever wanted a Diane Sawyer action figure, here's your chance. And on the bottom is the retro Hasbro logo. On the right it says Physicist codenamed G.I. Jane, and here's a look at the figure in the packaging. Here's a look at the back of the package. We have that same artwork on the back, bigger and bolder. On the right it says G.I. Joe Club exclusive 5-13, that's year 5, figure 13. That's right, this was the mystery 13th figure from the FSS 5.0 line. And on the bottom we have the file card. And the file card says Physicist codename G.I. Jane, file name Jane Ann Martell, primary military specialty particle physics, secondary military specialty combat nurse, birthplace Cumberland, Rhode Island. G.I. Jane was a military operative whose cover was a combat nurse. In missions around the globe, she provided her medical skills and scientific expertise in strategic defense technology. When G.I. Joe formed his covert team, I assume that means Joe Colton formed his covert team, he recruited her as a scientific specialist while maintaining her official cover as a nurse. She eventually left the military to get a PhD in physics. Although no longer on the active roster, she had in fact moved to deep cover operations. When G.I. Joe retired, or Joe Colton retired, from the team and became head of a secret military defense installation, he brought G.I. Jane onto the team as the lead scientist. Her work has been instrumental in the development of weapons and other cutting-edge technology used by the G.I. Joe team in global defense initiatives. And the quote on the bottom says, "I battle Cobra by developing scientific technology. Of course, when I'm up to my ears in bad guys, just throw me an assault rifle and get out of my way." Here is G.I. Jane out of the package, and let's take a closer look. She's got a very nice head sculpt, and I believe that is the Agent Helix head sculpt, if I'm not mistaken. But it's very nice. Paint apps are well done on this. She's got a white shirt with a white lab coat. Her name, Jane, is there on the front. She has a green belt on the middle, which is very loose. Green pants, looks like probably a watch on her left wrist, and some brown boots on the bottom. Let's go ahead and take a look at the articulation. Her head has pretty good range of motion up and down, and a full 360 if you ever need her to do that for some reason. Her shoulders will do a full 360. She has a joint at the elbow, which can do a full 360. The joint will not, her elbows will not bend a full 90 degrees, about halfway there. I guess because of the molding for the shirt. Her wrists will do a full 360, however no secondary joint, just the single joint. She has a joint in the midsection. She can turn left and right, slide up and down movement. Joint there for the legs. Double jointed knees, which is always nice. And a joint at the ankle. She can do a full 360. And a secondary joint forward and back. Her accessories include this very big dark green gun. This gun is a little too big for her in my opinion, and she can't really hold it at waist level, which is where I think she should be holding it, and it falls out pretty easily. So I'm not a fan of this gun for her. This was a little bit of a misstep in my opinion. However, she does come with this black handgun, which is much more appropriate, and it's what we see on the card art. It fits very well in both hands, and it's got a very nice sculpt, so a good choice there. A white laptop computer, some nice sculpting on the bottom, G.I. Joe logo there. It does open, however, the screen has not been painted, there's no decal, it's just white, which is disappointing. And she does have trouble holding this while wearing the coat. So she can't really hold it too well with just one hand. She needs both hands, and it just kind of falls out in one hand. So I'll show you what it looks like without the coat. Here she is holding the laptop with both hands without the coat. Much better. Without the lab coat on, you can see she does have a badge on the front, which has the G.I. Joe logo, but what's underneath is not really legible. And let's look at her little belt here. This is too big for her. It keeps sliding around, it spins around, much too big, much like we've seen on other female figures. So not happy with that. Her handgun will fit in the holster quite well though. Fits in there pretty good. It's snug. So even though this thing is spinning around like a top, the gun will not fall out. She comes with the normal figure stand we've seen for modern figures. It has the G.I. Joe logo on the top, and it says codename G.I. Jane. While this figure has a very nice head sculpt and great paint apps, I can't highly recommend it. I'm not too familiar with the character, so maybe that's one of the reasons, but it's just not working for me. The coat's a little bit too big for her. She can't hold the computer with both hands with the coat on. The one gun is too big for her to really hold well. For me, this is not an exclusive level type figure. This would be much more suited to a retail release at a much lower price point. So if you can find this somehow at a very cheap price, you go ahead and get it, but otherwise this would be a pass. Well, that wraps up this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to let me know what you think about this figure in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of my future videos. You can find me on social media via the links in the description for this video. I'm on Twitter and Facebook, and I'm also on Patreon if you feel like supporting this channel. That's it for now. I'll see you next time.